When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel.
Well, excuse me!
Looking for good ideas for life? You're far from good hands.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
If you think the listener is always right, you're far from the right place.
Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works!
Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, but a rebel by choice.
Are you threatening me?
If you want a host that floats between love and madness,
and we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite, looking forward to a little afternoon delight.
then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
All right, guys, listen to this blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
Within the gaming world, there are your general gamers, but then there are those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming. If you're one of those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming, we certainly got the place to send you. Scorpion Lair Games. That's right, Scorpion Lair Games is the creators of the true crime hit Killers, the card game. Let's not forget they also have Killers Clothing Company, their profiler game, and things like the 5-Minute Murder channel on YouTube. And we certainly can't forget the new book that is certainly a hit, Beyond the Headliners, True Crimes, Myths, and Legends. Make sure you visit Jeff and the Scorpion Lair Games on Facebook and everywhere today.
Hey there, I'm Alex Zahara, and you're listening to Crazy Train Radio. Come on down.
Hey folks, it's your least favorite host in the podcast world, Croc, Jonathan Steele. And boy, do we have a good one for you today.
Before we get started, folks, we also wanted to let everybody know that is listening to this interview. It is being recorded on the D&D Fitness Apparel line. D&D Fitness Apparel is a Memphis-based comedy and clothing startup brand that is helping you reclaim the quality gym wear that you want to have on, but also does all the talking for you because you want to be comfortable while you are there to
Pump you up!
Feel free to visit them at dndfitapparel.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, our next guest is the pride of Grand Prairie, Alberta, Canada. And rumor has it this next guest was born on Halloween, and there might have been a fire at a hotel across town.
Fire! 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 Fire!
Not saying karma, not saying they'll help from friend of the show, Pazuzu from The Exorcist. I don't know. He studied and been involved with acting most of his life. As we'll talk about how he got a scholarship and such to go to University of British Columbia, where he earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts, the degree in theater for acting. But he's done in front of the camera, behind the camera, all that fun stuff. You will recognize him in the latest successful Final Destination film, Bloodlines, as the lovable Uncle Howard Campbell. But let's go ahead and welcome Mr. Alex Zahara.
Hello.
Mr. Alex, sir, first
Hello.
and foremost, welcome, and I believe you deserve a congratulations for
Oh, I do.
for your piece of the puzzle for Final Destination Bloodlines.
Right.
So, would you, obviously, and we're going to be all over the place here because I did some reading, which can be scary. But we'll knock Bloodlines out of the way first. Even though it's been a successful series and such, when you get to the sixth part,
Mhm.
were you expecting it to be a home run like it's been?
Well, before we go on, what do you prefer to be called?
John, Jonathan, whatever you
John,
want.
okay. Or Crazy Train?
Asshole, you piece of shit. No, Jonathan's fine.
John,
Either
okay,
one.
John. Well, I'll tell you straight up. When I read the script, I know Adam and Zach. I've known them over the years, and I've almost worked with them several times. And then finally, this came up. I thought, okay, we're going to be able to work together. It'd be nice. But when I read the script, I knew, yeah, this is going to be something good because it wasn't just, okay, let's start a situation and have people killed in bizarre and creepy ways. It was a real story, like a very good storyline, and it brought like families together, and it's all about bloodlines, and that's the thing. It's a family story, and people say, oh, it's a family story, it's a family movie. Well, it is, because it's all about trying to preserve the family and keep the family together. And quite frankly, it really spoke to me because I found resonance of myself, really, and we can get into more of that later. But yeah, so that's what really, I thought it was going to do well, but I didn't know it was going to do as well as it has. That's for sure. And that's my dog, Cooper. Coopy, hey, Cooper, come here. Sorry, I'm going to grab my Coopy for you. Coopy, come here. Come here. Come here. Come say hi. I've got a little black dachshund. His name is Cooper, and he's about a year and a half old. This is Cooper, my little black
Cooper.
dachshund. He's about a year and a half old, and his mom just went downstairs to sell something off on Facebook Marketplace she posted. So there you go. So he's like, where'd mom go? Where'd mom go?
Yeah. Oh, I get it. So I guess he's more of a fan of mom than dad, or?
Oh, he's a mama's boy, that's for sure. He's mama's boy. Yeah.
That's okay. So
Well,
yeah.
I had to work the first 2 days we got him, and so she bonded with him, and I came back, and he was like, who are you? Oh, okay.
You
Sorry.
live here? Okay, great.
Yeah.
It's like the cats and stuff, the different things in this household.
There
And
you go.
obviously you were talking about the family connection and how it hit you and stuff with the movie. So, hence the term Bloodline. But I got to ask, and I don't think you've spoken on it a ton, but obviously the one standout part for this film was the final performance of Tony Todd. Did you get a chance to talk to Tony at all, or?
No, because my guy was long dead before Tony showed up on the scene. My part was done, and Tony, they shot it at the Bridge Studios, I believe, and I wasn't then. I mean, there was a standing invitation to come on set, but I was also working and doing other stuff, so it was a little hard to come by. I really wish I had. I guess I didn't know at the time filming. I didn't know he was that sick. I had no idea because they didn't share that openly with everybody, right? So upon seeing the film, like when we saw the sneak preview in Vancouver for the first time, it was before the big preview in LA, our premiere in LA rather. I saw him and I was on camera, and everybody just visibly, like auditorily gasped when they saw him on the screen, because he was really quite sick at the time. I don't know what he passed away of, but it was obviously was afflicting him, and so yeah, like I love Tony Todd. Like I have a connection with him that he didn't know about, and I wish we had a chance to talk about it. But in like '93 or so, when '93 or '94, when Candyman came out, we had got a call from Columbia TriStar Pictures at the University of British Columbia, where I went to school, in the Film Society, to host earlier that year or the year before. I remember we hosted Groundhog Day, the West Coast premiere of Groundhog Day, and this guy
The Bill Murray movie, right?
Yeah. This guy from Columbia TriStar Pictures phoned up, and I answered the phone, and I was the personnel manager, and I happened to say, "Sure, yeah, we'll do that, of course." So he called again for Candyman, and so I hosted the West Coast premiere of Candyman, sneak preview, on the college campus, and they do test audiences to see how it did and whatnot. So I love Tony's work. I've watched him over the years. Like I've seen him in tons of shows, and like he's a great character actor. God bless him, he was, because he would disappear. You didn't know it was him, right?
Yeah.
You didn't.
But that's how good he was.
Like that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
He would disappear, and I'm not saying I'm in that category of him, whatever. But that's been my career. I'm the man of 1,000 faces. Like literally, I've died 40 times on TV. I've played thousands of characters on Stargate because they've CGI'd me a million times. So, yeah.
So I was listening to something earlier with you, and you talked about your death being more practical, which is cool to hear with something that has such, CGI and effects and just everything that they do in a film like that.
Yeah.
But was it creepy to see like your stunt double or your stunt dummy when they had to when they couldn't use you physically for safety reasons?
Well, I'll tell you straight up, it was funny because I saw the dummy. We've got a great picture of the head they made, and it's animatronic. Like it moved, it blinked, it opened its eyes, and did this and everything. It was really weird to see that because they've got a new technique now where they use I think a laser scanner. Like it's like a bar of light, but it's a laser, and you can open your eyes and like I did this like expression, and it read me entirely, and then that's what they were able to reproduce. It's just shocking how much the technology has changed, because I'm from the old school where they do like a life cast with the alginate on your head and they put a plaster mold, whereas this stuff can capture like literally, and it looks just like you. So seeing it happen for the first time was a little freaky. I mean, I've seen myself die 39 times before that, roughly, but that was very new because it comes down and hits me in the face, and the camera goes inside the lawnmower, and you just see this flesh chopping and whatever. I wasn't there to see them do that. They filmed that on a separate on a sound stage at a separate location. They shot me a couple, 2-3 times. What they did for us was they had put some foam on the inside of the lawnmower, removed the blade, obviously, and so when it came down on me, it just came down, and I had to just gently turn my face slightly here so as I wouldn't get like the center console or the center mount right in the face, and I'd come down like that, and then the top of the lawnmower was a compressor filled with blood and guts and teeth and whatever, and then it would just shoot out, and it, like as you see in the film, it hits my arm, and I'm twitching and so that was fun. But seeing it for the first time when they really ripped the dummy head apart was quite I was grossed out.
So you're saying you didn't use the lawnmower blades to trim the beard then?
No, I didn't use the lawnmower. No, I tried, but they were saying no, don't.
Safety reasons,
Safety first. We
insurance.
still need you. I mean, if we need you to film the dying before, and we need you clean,
Yeah. No, but to go back briefly with the great script and everything else like that, I heard you mention that they used a lot of, I don't know if you call it improv or some changes because of the rehearsal, a little bit of rehearsal time you had. And then the writers and different folks would be like, "Ooh, we like how you did that. Hold on." They would go and change something and give you new pages. Is that difficult?
Well, you know what? It's actually great because when something comes up naturally or organically, as the phrasing goes, like you're rehearsing and they say, okay, this one's just for you guys. Just do whatever comes up, or this one, play him like he's just really mean or something or whatever, right? So some things just sometimes they just come up because if you're living truthfully to your character, these things will come up. You're thinking and feeling like your character would feel. So in rehearsal, like April Tellick, who plays my wife, God bless her, she's a great actress here locally. We've been in several shows. We played husband and wife in another show. Like we just had a real nice connection, right? And then all the, I shouldn't say the kids, but all the younger stars in the movie, like Caitlin who played Steffi and Teo and everybody else. Like it was a very natural process. It was, and Richard Harmon is amazing, and Anna and Owen, everybody's just great. Like I mean that sincerely because everybody came really dedicated, and when we rehearsed and we did the sandwich scene where we're making lunch for the family, and Stephanie comes to talk to us and say, "Hey, what about Grandma Iris?" And so we rehearsed that a lot, and they incorporated some of what we did and some of what would come up in rehearsal, and so that when you were on set, like and it was such a joy and a rarity you ever get rehearsal days or time, especially you don't get that in TV hardly at all. You just rehearse it a couple times before you shoot it, but in film like this, like it was just a wonder to get, like I think we had like 2-3 days of rehearsal, which was astronomically important, and I think it really translated onto the scene. Like when you look at that scene and you see that, I think, and I mean this sincerely, I think this film's pretty much almost a flawless movie in the sense of the storyline and the character development, and then when you hit a dramatic crisis, and that, meaning when the family starts getting killed off, you really care about these people. It's not as if just suddenly like it's because you can go in a lot of this franchise film with a preconceived notion of, okay, all right, so something funny, weird's going to happen, and then they're all going to survive, and then this is going to go happen here. Whereas this film didn't go with those preconceived notions. It really developed in a way that you didn't see coming, especially I think for the 1960s stuff, like the Sky Tower and all that, and how they tied all the storylines together. I think it was amazing.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of amazing, and there was a little rumor I heard about you, and we know the internet is a finicky place. So
That's a polite way of saying it.
yeah, I'm trying to be nice a little bit.
Okay.
So the rumor was you were born on Halloween, and there might have been a fire in town the same night. Is this true?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was born in a small town called Grand Prairie, Alberta, in northern Alberta. Well, I say northern Alberta. It's considered northern, but Canada's so big. Like here's the map. Here's Canada, right? So here's the border with the U.S. and Grand Prairie's about here, about 2/3 way up the province. Well, that'll take you about 12 hours to get to from the American border of hard driving. And you can't drive the rest of the way up the province because there's no roads. Okay, like, you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, so I was born in a small town, and yeah, the night I was born, on Halloween night, the McDonald Hotel burned. It was a big fire.
Yeah. Now, and I know exactly what you're saying with how Canada is because I have friends in the wrestling business and who are Canadian by birth. And they would tell me some stories of having to go to these outskirts on the independent scene, like to say what do you call it? Like Indian reservations. That's a 12-hour drive. And one of them tells a famous story of getting stuck over a lake. And, I mean, it's like, unless you're there, it's hard to believe, like you're saying with the...
Well, where I grew up, real quick, I'll just give you where I grew up in and around Grand Prairie, little towns, Spirit River, Rycroft, shout out to those guys, and Woking and whatnot. I mean, in Woking, it was a town of a village, about 200 people. Like there was no paved roads. It was so mucky. When I walked to school, to kindergarten one day, I lost my rubber boots in the mud. I couldn't get my feet out of the mud, and I had to take my feet out and walk to school like that. We didn't have plumbing. Nobody had plumbing. It was all outhouses and rainwater that you caught, or literally, we would go across the road from our place to the dugout, pan some water in, bring it back to the house, boil it, and then you could drink it. Like it was almost like, the frontier days in some respects, because, they had nothing. We had a hand pump for water in some of the places I lived in till I was about 5 years old. And yeah, I mean, we lived on a farm with my uncles and aunts, and my cousin was just here from New Zealand. He lived up in this farm near Spirit River, and like, I grew up when I was 4, for example, in the winter, people talk about how cold it gets. It was minus 65 Fahrenheit.
And that was a warm heat wave.
Yeah, exactly. Not quite. But that was the
No.
coldest weather I've ever been in. And imagine, we had to go use an outdoor toilet at that point.
Yeah. It's
4 years. I don't want to go. And just so you know, and any of your viewers out there, this is tea, not a beer stein. It is a beer stein.
Oh.
It's full of tea.
I got mine for later, whiskey.
Oh, good. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. There you go.
Well, speaking of Grand Prairie, I
Sure.
heard, and I'm curious to know because of how small of a town and region that was that you're from.
Yeah.
How did you end up getting a scholarship because of your direction of the stage version of MASH?
Yeah. So it's so funny. Where I grew up, like we had one channel for many years. Then we had 2 more when I moved to the big cities. We had 3 channels. Woo. But my parents were really into theater and well, my mom specifically into theater and taking me to live theater and she said I used to do sock puppet plays on behind the couch when I was a kid for the other kids in the neighborhood. So I kind of came by getting interested in TV film naturally. But the towns were really small. Like Grand Prairie. When I moved to Grand Prairie, it was the biggest city north of Edmonton, where the Edmonton Oilers are situated. So if you're looking at the map, so Edmonton would be here. Grand Prairie is like 4.5 hours this way. Well, we were the biggest town or city. We called a city at 10,000 people back then. So that was going to the big city. You know what I mean? The big city.
Mhm.
Yes, sir. But yeah, it's funny because there's a booming theatrical scene there. A lot of old Brits, like the British would come over and they had a big theater tradition and whatnot. So there was huge, like the Grand Prairie Little Theater was on there, and I went to see all these little shows and stuff. I shouldn't say little shows; they were quite large. And we had this great, enormous college built there, designed by Robert Cardinal, who's a very famous Canadian designer, native Canadian designer. Anyhow, my dad was the head of indoor maintenance at the college, and I would see all the shows there. And yeah, it really sort of happened organically. My mom took me to go see Fiddler on the Roof when I was 5 years old at my high school. Eventually, it became my high school. But I remember just sitting there, and I was all gym, whatever. But all of a sudden, the lights went down, and the gym was empty. The lights went down, and you hear this like fiddle music, and so the lights start coming up slowly, and you see this little silhouette of this little guy sitting on a roof playing a fiddle. It was crazy. Like there was a house suddenly in the middle of and I just thought, boom, my mind was blown. It was magic. So something hit me about like telling stories and like just it was like being transported to this other world, and here I was in this village in the Ukraine, and whoa, like so something just really hit home with me about that, and I've just loved being a storyteller ever since, or part of a story.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it. You've done theater. That's your education per se in college and stuff. But you've done TV, film. You've been all over the place, and it's a different medium, or there's a different way you do the medium. Like
Sure.
with the theater, you project. TV, film, they tend to make
Bring
it
it
a little
down.
easier to focus on you.
Yeah.
And do you have a preference on what you do? Because especially with theater, you're working for a live audience, whether it's 5 people or 5,000 people.
And I've done that.
And there's
I've
a
done
certain energy to working in front of an audience. So do you have a preference?
Well, you know what? I'm going to do the typical, I think, actor answer was, well, whatever's paying me. You know what I mean? Like, you got to make a living, right? So, I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. I've chosen to do a lot of theater in my life because you make a lot less money doing theater if you make any money at all, especially when you do like co-ops. Like, you're basically doing it for art's sake of expression of this character or, your artistic expression. Because when you're doing a lot of TV film, and let's face it, we do a lot of TV movies of the week here, and they're not exactly the most thrilling, epic pictures to be part of. So, excuse me, when we get a chance to do something more offbeat or alternative in theater, we'll take it because this stuff pays the bills, but this stuff feeds the soul, right? So I've done some great shows with a theater company called Pi Theater now. Sorry, my friend Richard runs Pi Theater, but we used to work together in Western Theater Conspiracy, and we did shows like Mojo, and it's about the birth of rock and roll in London in 1958. And I played Sweet, so I had a Cockney accent, and my job was to find the parties and the girls, and have fun, right? And so we did that, and we got nominated for 9 Jessies. And gosh, I think you asked me something earlier about, like, I don't know, I can't remember. I'm going to tie a little story in here maybe, but like I got nominated, we all got nominated for best performance for that. And it was so funny because it was the start of my film acting career at the same time. So I graduated from university, was doing a bunch of student films. Then I did this play Mojo over Christmas. Then went back and finished the student films. And then right at that time, I booked my first role in TV was for Viper, old show that was on. And this, God bless her, this woman who'd seen, Trish Robinson was a casting director around Vancouver for decades. She was an awesome lady. God rest her soul, she's passed away. But she had seen Mojo and she loved it. And brought me in for this audition. There's a whole story behind that too, a rigmarole, changing agents, this and that. But she brought me in, and before we went into the audition for this character, she said, Alex, I saw Mojo, I loved it, and I loved you. So let's go get you a job. And I was like, wow, okay.
All right.
So I go into this audition, and my buddy Steve from university, Steve and Rudy, I was credit him because he was right there. He was filming the auditions. And we came in and, hey, buddy, how's it going? Yeah. And the director, Scott Williamson, was there. And so we did the scenes or whatever. And he said, that was great, man. You know, got any questions? I said, no. I said, let me show you what I got, and then we can play from there. I always invite people to play with me and get into the aspect of the characters and whatnot. So I did it, and I can't remember if he gave me direction or not, but I know he liked it a lot. And I said our goodbyes and left. And then I booked the gig. And then I'm on set. Skip ahead to a week or two later, I'm on set and we're at lunch and Scott's on the other side of the table. He said, Alex, you want to hear how you got this job? I said, sure, yeah. He said, well, I loved you. You did great work, but you had no TV experience. And so I said to Trish, like, how is this guy? She goes, don't worry, he will deliver for you. I promise. And he goes, hey, Steve, you went to university with him, right? He goes, yeah. And he goes, well, what's he like? He goes, oh, he's a great guy. Give you the shirt off his back. That's how you got this job. So it's a lot of who you are off camera, because your reputation comes with you, right? And I've had a lot of producers say to me, like, I wanted to hire you the first 15 seconds you walked in the door, because it's the energy you bring. Like, I am part of a puzzle, I am part of a team, and I will help tell the story. It is not about me, it's not about Alex. I do not have to be self-aggrandized or aggrandized by anybody. I'm here to tell the story, and I'm a part of a story. It's difficult sometimes when you get people that forget that, I'm a big movie star, look at me, it's all about me. No, it's not about you. It's about the story, and you're part of that story. You might be the main aspect through the story, the main person, but it's not completely you. And all the cast and all the crew and all the office people and everybody else that help get this film produced are equally as important as you. And that's, I think, what a lot of people forget these days. That's
why I was congratulating you when we started, because you were a piece of the puzzle to help tell that story. And
sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. There was something about, I think you said earlier about me dying at a certain time, and I think it's been brought up before. People say, oh, you died so early. No, I died at exactly the right time. My character dies at the right time, because exactly where it has to happen in the script to move the story forward.
Yes. And with what you were just saying with your previous answer about, the camera guy, Steve, and everybody speaking up for you, it always reminds me of something somebody told me a long time ago, and it made perfect sense when I knew it, but when they said it, it was like that light bulb went off. You know what I'm saying? It's not who says they know you, or excuse me, I misquoted. It's not who knows you, it's who's willing to say they know you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's so true, because there are people. Let's face it, we all work with people. We kind of, whatever.
Yeah.
Luckily, most of the time in my career, it's been a pretty positive experience. There's the occasional time where it's like, oh man, really? Come on. And it's like, if you've got that much going on that you don't want to be there, well, then do us all a favor and go home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we'll bring someone who wants to be here.
Exactly. Because, like, as an example too, I became a reader for Trish Robinson, that same casting director. So when everybody would come to audition, I would be the reader going opposite of them to help their auditions, right? And there was one show we were doing, it was either Sentinel or Viper again, and it was like a hooker with a heart of gold character, and they would have these other women coming in for this other character, and then if they were good enough, the director was saying, well, get them to read for this other one. So this woman come in and just did a great audition, just brilliant. But then she started talking, and she was nervous, and she was like, "Oh, did you like my audition? And this is my eye hurt, and blah blah, and I hit my head, and blah blah." And she wouldn't let us say thank you or goodbye or whatever. And so finally, I jumped in with thank you. And John, who was John, the director, was like, yeah, thanks. And I knew because he was about to say, because he'd said it for half a dozen ladies, get her to read whatever. And when she left the room, he said, well, it's a good thing we found that out now rather than on set, because she's so nervous and so whatever. She just didn't trust herself and, would just talk. And you can't work with somebody like that in TV. The time is so short. You've just got to move on. And she's so insecure, and God bless her, she's just beginning probably, but you've got to just I would say this, it's not about me, it's about the audience, right? It's not about what I feel, it's about what the audience gets, right? And for us, at that point, if she'd got that part and didn't reveal that until she got on set, it could have just ruined the entire episode because you wouldn't get anything done because she was so blah, 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 you know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you say that your breakout spot or role would have been the Sentinel, that episode of The Night Shift?
Yeah, absolutely. And people probably don't really remember that show very much because I don't think it's in syndication these days or whatever, but it really was because I played like a Clarence the Angel type character, sort of. They make reference to that, where I've got to save this kid. And the kid I save is Michael Pena, who has gone on to have a brilliant career and still is. And but yeah, it really was it was my first guest star. Yeah, it was my first guest star. My second TV role ever, first guest star. And it was a great role. Like I played a homeless guy who was actually Gabriel the Angel had come down and inhabited his body, is what they were saying, because he'd passed away. And his job now was to save this young kid. And I do. And there's references, angelic references and movie references all throughout the episode. But I mean, that one really, that put me on the map in Vancouver because right away I was supposed to do a Stargate at the same time, and there was a conflict of dates and times and whatever. And Richard Dean Anderson, actually, I couldn't do this one episode, and then Richard Dean Anderson specifically asked for me to come in and audition for this because he enjoyed my previous auditions so much that my third acting gig ever was a guest star on Stargate. And see, but it just happened like when I did that guest star, my agent can then say, well, he's busy doing a guest star. Ooh, suddenly, and I was really like early in my career, like all the guys I graduated with, we found it was about 18 months to 2 years after graduation before we all started booking jobs regularly. And for me, yeah, that was true too, like 18 months to 2 years. And then boom, 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 boom. And then I just luckily hit a string of really good work there for a great number of years.
Well, that brings up a good point because I seem to talk to a lot of folks who are either based in Western Canada there or do a lot of work in that part of the world, in Vancouver specifically. Right. What is it when you look at a certain amount of time here? I'll even say, take it back a little further, say the mid-90s to current. What is it about that part of the world that people tend to like to get a lot of work done, whether it be film, TV, whatever the reason may be? And I know there's a financial aspect of things. It's the way of the world, but
it's also, okay, it's several things. It's our geography in relation to LA. So we're only about 3 hours out of LA by plane. So it's quick and easy for people to get up there. We're on the same time zone as LA. The environment, like if you look around, like if right outside my window right now, I've got massive amounts of trees. I live on the backside of a ravine. There's a ravine there. There's a lot of greenery here, right? And we have mountains and the sea and the city, and we have your ghetto type areas or whatever you would say. Maybe you said a terrible phrase these days, it just jumped to mind, but your poor areas per se, your more downtrodden areas. We've got it's geographically incredible. So there's this area, and if you just go inland about 4 hours by car to Kamloops and Kelowna, it's like desert and semi-arid. And so there's so much going on geographically here that it can be almost anywhere in the world. I mean, Vancouver has substituted for New York, Paris, London, Rome. I mean, you name it. Because you can isolate bits and pieces of the city. So yeah, that's the thing. There's that aspect of it. Like we're like a chameleon city. We can become anywhere. And again, the geography is amazing. Yeah, yeah, and just getting the location, timing, etc. What else? I mean, the crews are really great. You got a lot of really highly skilled crews here, a lot of really skilled people. It's really unfortunate right now because, with after, the COVID and then, a bunch of stuff happened and then all the strikes and whatnot, and now with the tariff situation and stuff and everything that's going on, like we're operating at about 30 to 40% of what we should be. So there's a lot of people, including myself, that have been out of work for well over a year. And yeah, I've worked one day on set in the last physical year, one day. And I'm going to start School Spirits here coming up, this TV show. And luckily it's coming back for a third season. And we start like end of July. But it's been tough. I mean, if you look down in Los Angeles, a lot down in LA, like there's all these posts on Facebook of all these crews saying, hey, don't forget about us, etc. But it's tough because a lot of the big studios after the strikes, I think they were in a mood to punish the actors and writers, and they sent all the work overseas. And it's pretty tough because, these people, we all have to feed our families and pay our mortgages and, put kids through school. And a lot of people in power look at it like somehow we should just be grateful that we have a job at all while they rake in hundreds of millions of dollars. You just be grateful that you're working and shut up. And I'm like, but wait a second. Without us, you don't get those hundreds of millions of dollars either. So
we want our piece of the pie. Yeah.
Well, but not even that. Do you know how much? Yeah, I guess we want a piece of pie. But I saw a really great statistic during the strikes. Do you know how much of the profits that Hollywood pays out to its cast and crews and stuff? Do you know how much the profits are? How much they actually pay?
I wouldn't know.
1%, less than 1%. Less than 1% of the profits that they make, they pay out. And they still are so greedy that they don't want people to have a little bit more, even to keep up with inflation.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say it. Like, what's his name that ran Disney or runs Disney here? He makes like 200 million something a year. Is it Bob Iger? I think his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah. He makes 200 million a year. During the strike, he said, and I quote, and you can look this up, let them starve and have to sell their houses to feed their kids. And then when they come back to the table, remember that? They come back to the table, they'll take whatever we give them. Oh boy! And then I don't know if it was Disney, but another studio, the actors were protesting in LA, striking, and they cut down the branches of all the trees on the boulevard, so there was no shade for the people to stand in. Well, those trees didn't belong to them. It was the city of LA, but they didn't care. Who cares? But they killed dozens of trees in order just to say a big F you to the actors. I'm like, wow.
Well, another one, I guess, since we're there, another piece of the, I guess, argument per se from like the actors especially was AI that was publicly talked about. So what's your thoughts with AI and the technology and all that stuff?
It's soulless. It has no soul. It has no heart. It's going to end up literally taking the food out of the mouths of children because, if we get, as actors, we get replaced by AI, the crew is going to get replaced by AI. There'll be no need for cast and crew. We're going to punch numbers. I got my little puppy here. Sorry. We'll punch. Hey, careful. Well, these guys, some people will punch numbers in a computer and, computer program it, and you're going to make these quote unquote movies. Well, what are they made by? They're made by a machine. Like there's no humanity in it. And great. But see, this is one thing about profit driven. They don't care. They don't care if they do that because great. Well, we'll still put movies up. People are still going to want to watch stuff, and we'll have to pay people. This whole crap started with reality television. I was involved in the master agreement, like when we were doing the contracts back in 2000, when all the studios or the television, like Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, we were involved in negotiations with them, and they all wanted us to do this crazy thing called the internet. We weren't sure if it's going to make any money. We want to do some shows for the internet and see if it goes on. And they were telling us, oh, it'll be great promotion for you, great promotion, and you'll get jobs from it. Well, we're all like, jobs from who? You are the people that pay us. So you're telling us work for free to get jobs from who? Like, it was just such crap. And then in the end, we all said no, like SAG, everybody else said, no, we're not going to do like this, like internet for free television. And then guess what came out right at that time? Reality TV, Survivor, and all that other crap. And I say it's crap because it is crap. I'll tell you straight up, these shows They don't have a good message to them. They don't provide relief or comedy. They don't provide anything for the soul. It's like, let's just see who can fight and overcome and destroy the other person. What the hell is that? What is that selling for our world? I used to watch The West Wing and look at, the old days, Mork and Mindy for entertainment, the Andy Griffith Show. All these shows, in the end, had a moral message behind them. Even if it was just silly fun or whatever, happy days back in the day, but they had something to say. What does Survivor or any of these other stupid reality shows tell you? Sorry, my doggy's making noise.
That's all right.
They don't give you anything. But guess what? They don't have to pay the crews like they did. Don't have to pay the actors. Don't have to pay writers. These people get like a pittance little allowance, or if anything at all, the people performing in them. Well, who reaps all the financial benefits? The studios. And these people, like these guys are making $200 million plus a year, the studio heads, on average. $200 million plus, and bonuses. And they still have to take money away from people who have, like, I've got 7 years of post-secondary education to work on my craft, and I'm a well-trained, good actor, but they want to remove my employment and replace me with an avatar or something, whatever, because then they don't have to pay me. Canadians make about a tenth or less of what American actors make. It's the way the agreements are. We don't get residuals for 5 years. It's a crime, really. But still, they're going to take that away from me. I mean, they have been taking it away. Like, we're not working. They've shipped all the work off to, people get mad and they say, oh, well, it's Runaway Productions and Canada's taking all this work. No. We have no say in where the work goes. It's the studios that send the work to Ireland these days, and England, and off to New Zealand and Eastern Europe. Because why? Because they can pay the crews there very little, and they reap all this profit. I was just told recently that Rob Lowe had another show set up to go, and he was supposed to film it. I'm not sure which studio it was with, but he was supposed to film it in Hollywood, and they said, well, to cross the street and go filming, it's going to cost us 2, 3, 4 times as much. But if we go to Ireland, it'll cost us like next to nothing. And so he said, well, I don't want to, and this is what I've heard. I've heard that he said he didn't want to go to Ireland, and they just cut ties, and that was it. It's all about money, and that's the really shitty thing. There is money to be made for everybody. How much is enough? Like, how much do you people really need? Like, a friend of mine worked with a producer here, and he said, you Canadian actors, like, we pay you, the amount of money we pay you, it's like taking money out of our petty cash. So we get paid pennies compared to what other people get paid. And when the studios send work overseas, it's to maximize profits. They don't give a damn about the people that have worked there for like 20, 25 years and now suddenly have no job and have to give up their home or sell their home to feed their kids. Like, I've almost said to hell, I'll be quite honest, I've thought about selling my house like 3 times this year alone. Financially, it's just been horrible, But people, they think all actors are, they think all actors are rich or whatever else. Trust me, we are not. We are not rich.
And that brings up what I was actually going to say there. So I'm glad you said it that way. And I don't know what the numbers are currently in 2025, because obviously the strike and the new agreements and all that stuff. But I remember, and it always stood out, Doug Bradley. I knew it, but Doug Bradley from Hellraiser series, he's probably best known for, was involved with the unions and like the behind the scenes stuff for years. And he said, think about it. He told it to me over a drink. He goes, think about this. How many people would you say on the acting side of things make money? I said, well, without knowing the numbers exactly, I would say it's very small. He goes, it's out of the latest numbers he saw at that time, because he was doing this stuff with the unions, it's 1% make a livable wage.
Yep.
And what you do to get your insurance and all that stuff,
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Like, for us in the union, when I joined the union here in 1996 or 7, at the our union in Canada is different from in the States. Like, we have 2 unions here. We have UBCP, the Union of British Columbia Performers, and we have ACTRA out east, and then we've got SAG, down in the States. You've got SAG. So in UBCP, when I joined in 96 or 97, I think it was 96, I became an apprentice member. So like 95% of our union membership, 95% made less than $5,000 to $7,000 a year acting. Okay. And then I think it was like 1 or 2% made 7 to 20,000, then 20 to 40, 40 to 60 was this little breakdown. And yeah, one person in our union, one person made $1 million. One person. Okay. So yeah, there's that top 1% thing. Yeah, it's like that where like, like I make at the end of the year probably about what a school teacher makes, right? That's it. And but I also pay 15% to my agent manager. I pay 30 to 40% in taxes on the whole amount. So I'm actually paying out 45% of my earnings to taxes and my agent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait. And then 5% GST. So it's 50%. So I pay 50% of my earnings roughly to taxes and my agent. So even you talk about making on paper, I'm making that. But no, but take home pay, it's like half of what I have on paper. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well,
So yeah.
besides the show you said that's going to be coming back for a third season starting up in a couple weeks, where do you see the rest of 2025 going?
They were saying that stay alive for 2025, but it's not going to happen. I've been talking to some sources and including my own agent and others, and they said, yeah, like there's a bunch of agencies here in Vancouver that are going to have to close their doors because there's just been so little work. A whole bunch of stuff's happening like that. It's going to get very, very scary because I don't know that the work's ever going to come back. Like we don't do in-person auditions anymore, right? It's all Zoom and all this crap or self-tape. Well, it's because the studios don't have to pay anybody. They don't have to pay the casting directors, and they don't have to pay for a room or do whatever. It's all about keeping the money for the profits and more money for us and then I can have my 7 houses around the world, as a studio head. Like, but yet I have to, like, me and people others, like I'm swinging a hammer doing construction. I teach. I do coaching. I work in a substitute in a film office as a production coordinator. Once in a blue moon, I help do casting. I do like 7 to 10 different things just to make a living, just to survive. And so the more profit that these studios get to keep because they're sending all the work overseas. And again, it's like, I hate to say, and I want to bring politics into it, but when companies know they can send work overseas to like, Asia or Eastern Europe, whatever, and they're going to make a ton of profit. Do you really see them staying home in America or Canada? No, of course not. They're not going to do it. They ship off and they say, oh, we're proudly Canadian. Bullshit. You've shipped everything overseas. You're proudly American. Oh yeah? Well, look at the label in the back of your hat. Made in China.
Made in China.
Exactly. So there's our problem where, they're shipping all the work overseas. I mean, they've done it. And it's working for them. They're getting content. They're getting, stars going over here, there, whatever. I heard recently too, like, some of the best TV shows that, have been streaming recently, because it's been set up, I guess, where they've moved, the studios have moved all this stuff overseas. There's such a dearth of work at home. So what they're doing is they're saying, oh, you want to work here? And they have contracts for shows that are being renewed. And say a person's making like, $100,000 an episode, $200,000 an episode, like a star. Well, now they're telling them like you're going to work for 50 or 25,000 an episode, or we'll find somebody else, because they have their pick of people, and that's what's going on too. So it's like the robber barons back in the day, in the industrialists in the 1800s, the union breakers. They basically essentially broke any power you had, or the unions have had, because they've sent the work away. And now the people that are left, you're going to work for this, or we'll get that guy, or we'll get that guy, because that's what they look at themselves like a pharaoh on a pyramid, and down below are all the slaves, the millions of slaves, and they can just pick us guys up and use whatever, and then cast us away. It's fine, and they just keep their little mount on the pyramid because we're scrambling to feed our kids.
Yeah, and that's the sad part,
Yeah.
for many different reasons.
Yeah, well, not to be a Debbie the Downer, but that's sort of what we're at these days. You know what I mean?
There's a truth and honesty to it. No, it needs to be heard more.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to doing the show when it comes back because of the School Spirits. I play a really fun character named, Principal Hartman, and he's got a great backstory. I've given a great backstory. They've told me, the writers and creators have told me their backstory, and I've added to it. And, it's good. Like all the people that are in the show, the cast, the crew, producers, everybody's really cool. Just like in Final Destination, everybody was amazing. There was no weak links. There was no nothing like that. There was no big egos. Same with School of Spirits. Like Peyton List, who stars in School of Spirits, she came in and brought us all flowers one day and gave us roses and stuff, and just saying, "Hey, it was really great working with you guys." And it's like I took it home to my wife. It survived a week or more, But just like little stuff like that, those little gestures, and it's fun because I sat here yesterday watching a story, and it was very reflective of my own life, and that's why I think, to go back to Final Destination, it's about a very functionally dysfunctional family, and we all sort of have that, going on. And my family's highly dysfunctional, but somewhat functional. Like growing up, my parents and my sister and I. But that's the whole thing. Is like my character Howard, if I can go back, is like me because I mean, I had a pretty tumultuous childhood in some respects. So trying to find that, and they always say, don't look for lost love or try to recover lost love. But he's not doing that. What Howard's doing is he's making a better life for his kids. He says, like, because you look at his backyard, he's got the bar, he's got barbecue, games, trampoline, this, that, Jenga, giant Jenga. He's making positive, fun family experiences, stuff he never got, so that next generation, his children will not suffer like he did, and the next generation, they won't suffer. He's trying to not bring the trauma forward. Okay?
He's trying to break the circle. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he was quite successful at it. Unfortunately, death comes and gets them all. But I mean, that's not a spoiler. But that's just what I'm saying is like you see yourselves in it. When I watched it the other day with my relatives from New Zealand that were here, we watched it again. We bought it actually online and watched it. I was like, yeah, like I can see that echoing. And I've seen a lot of people online and Reddit and other formats saying how they really loved Uncle Howard. He was such a nice guy. Too bad he died so early, this and that. But that's just it. They're finding a human connection and a reflection. And that's what's important, is they're seeing aspects of themselves in not just my character, but other characters within the show.
Yeah. And it's like good ones like that make the average Joe or the people who stream it and all, or will buy the 4K and Blu-rays and all that stuff, which the streaming's available now. I know the DVDs will be coming out shortly because Warner Brothers is going to be sending me mine. But you find, whether it's Uncle Howard or your wife or your sister or the kids or whatever, everybody knows somebody like that, if that makes sense.
Yep.
You can go, oh, I had an uncle like Uncle Howard, or I had whatever. I had a cousin like that, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people will find people that they can relate to.
And that's what carries through the movie. And that's the whole thing about Bloodlines. It's like, it's fighting for the family. He's fighting for his family's future. And as are we all in some respect, right? Yeah. So yeah, it does connect. That's the thing where I think this movie really hits the mark, and it's done so well because it really connects with people on a very human level.
Absolutely. Alex, thank you so much for the time, sir.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Take care, John. Thank you.
Hey folks, looking for the ultimate destination for the nerd enthusiasts and collectors? Well, we found the spot for you. Nerds Nest Collectibles is a haven for nerds, geeks, and fans alike, as they have many different products and certainly more to come. Make sure you go ahead and visit them at nerdsnestcollectibles.com. Check them out.
Hey everybody, this is Steve, Uncle Creepy Barton, and you're listening to Crazy Train Radio.